Welcome everyone to our Monday night shiur. Very special day today. Chag HaGeula of the Chasidim. The Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana of Chasidut is tonight. Just like there's a Rosh Hashana, there's Rosh Hashana of Chasidut. I'm going to speak about that in a minute, but before we have to say, today is also the Hilulah of the Magid Memezrich. Years ago, me and a couple of guys, the rabbi and me, we went on a trip to Ukraine. And one of the highlights of our trip, we went to Anipoli. And over there we went to the grave, the kever of the Magid Memezrich. And over there it says when you walk inside the kever, only the special people have the zechut to come and daven over here. Tzaddikim used to go there without their shoes. They used to take off their shoes out of kavod. They used to dip inside the mikveh. So tonight is his yortzeit. He was the Rebbe of the first Rebbe of Chabad. We're going to talk about him tonight. We're going to talk about the miracles. What was his? How did he see salvations, miracles, brachas of tzaddikim? Was he like that? We'll talk about him. And so it's a very big night. We're also almost half a week left till Hanukkah. Hanukkah is Sunday night. And we're going to talk about how we're going to utilize the power of Hanukkah. But before we're going to start all that, we have to say all the sponsors who gave for the Hilulah. Moshe Chaim Yitzchakov and his family, may Hashem bless him with bracha v'atzlacha, parnasa v'shefa. The Shimono family, Yisrael ben Asher, Michal bat Chana, Yosef Chaim, Avigail Tamar, Elisheva Chana, Sarah Rivka, Bnei Micha, Hashem yishlach lehem bracha v'atzlacha, Yishod Gedolot. Two anonymous sponsors, Hashem should bless them with bracha, Zivugim Agunim, Hashem Yitbarach. And also this shiur, it was specifically sponsored by another Talmud of ours, for Leuni Shmat Shulamit Bat Yafa, but also Lezecher Eliezer Eved Avraham and Yosef HaTzadik. Specific request. He wants to make the shiur Lezecher Eliezer, the servant of Avraham, and Yosef HaTzadik. Some connection in the Nishamot. So all the sponsors, may they have Beracha, V'atzlacha, Yishod Gedolot. Also the Pinchaso family, I forgot, Ariel and Miriam, Beracha, V'atzlacha. So before we're going to start, I want to say that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, there was a recording of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the 7th Rebbe of Chabad. This recording, I think, is from 1930 something. Wow. This is about 70, 80 years ago, this recording. And they have a recording of him, the people coming to him, asking him for a bracha, and it was this night, the 19th of Kislev. And he told them, why are you asking me for a bracha? Tonight is the night of Geulah. It's the night of redemption. You could ask any wishes, it's going to come true. So tonight is a very auspicious night. Not just tonight, tomorrow morning too. When you go home, don't forget to light a candle. Lezecher, HaMagid Memezrich Rav Dov Ber. And also Lezecher, the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe of Shneer. Today's the day he left the jail. We're going to talk about that, how he got into jail in the first place, when he came out, how he went up against the Tsar, old frail man going up. I'm not sure how frail he was. He died very young. I don't think he even passed 70. And he went up against the Tsar. There was a war between the Russians and the Ottomans, and our own Jewish people, his enemies, the Lithuanian Jews, the Litvaks, the Misnagdim, they went against him because they thought that he was a Mashiach Sheker. They thought that he was starting a new cult. And they sold him out to the Tsar as if he was colluding with the Ottomans because he was sending money to Eretz Yisrael. And Eretz Yisrael was under the Ottoman Empire at that time, under the Sultans, and they said, "Oh, you see, he's sending money to buy neshek, to buy weapons for your enemies." And the Tsar took him, and back then jail was not like today. You go upstate, a white collar jail. There's a mikveh over there. There's a beit midrash over there. I talked to one guy, some guy not all there, but he's like, sometimes I get in trouble because he hates Blasio. Why? Blasio made a bail reform. Cuomo, Blasio, bail. What is that? You do a crime, they let you out. He says, I want to go to jail. That's why I'm doing the crimes. Over there I get free food, free bed, everything good, free. I'm going to say there. What do I need anything for? So I hate them. So Chas v'Shalom to think like that, but that's what they said. Now back then jail was not like that. The jail back then was like, what was that, Rikers Island? Right in the middle over there. Avi Avot Tumah, rats, mice all over, roaches. And imagine the big tzaddik over there. By the way, the only picture we have of the first Rebbe of Chabad is when he was in jail. They painted him over there. And that's the only picture we have of him, the first Rebbe of Chabad. He was a very big tzaddik. He wrote the Shulchan Aruch too. He wrote an updated version of the Shulchan Aruch. It's called Shulchan Aruch Harav. Many Chasidim till today follow this Shulchan Aruch. Before we're going to talk about him, I want to read you a Gemara. This Gemara has a lot to do with today's power. But before I tell you this Gemara, there was a rabbi who lived approximately 900 years ago. His name was Rabbi Yaakov Halevi Mimorish, a French rabbi, one of the Baalei Tosafot. And this rabbi had a specific power. He knew how to dip in a ma'ayan. You guys know what a ma'ayan is? A natural spring. It's very dangerous to dip in those. It's very slippery. You know, it's chas v'shalom, a person could fall over there and not come out. So whatever he used to do, these rabbis, they used to know Shema Meforash. Now there's a problem. You can't learn God's Shema Meforash outside of Israel. You can't learn it. It's asur. So what they used to do, they had a Kabbalah Rebbe from student to the Rebbe, that if you go to a ma'ayan, a tradition, to a natural spring, and you take off your shoes and you put your leg inside the ma'ayan, which is that water comes from the belly of the earth, and all the waters come from Gan Eden, you're attached to Gan Eden at that moment, and you could learn the Shema Meforash. So these tzaddikim that used to do that, they used to go to natural springs of water. They used to take off their pants to their shoes, their pants, they used to roll up their pants, put their legs inside the ma'ayan, and they used to learn like this, the Shema Meforash.
Can you do today?
We don't deal with these things today because number one, we're not Tehorim. We're not Kedoshim like them. Remember, guys, that they used to give up their whole life for Torah. You understand? They used to sacrifice themselves. Now, I'm not going to say we don't know the Shema Meforash today. Of course we know the Shema Meforash. You know what kind of books came out in our generation? I remember there is a book written by Rav Moshe Zachuta. It talks all the names of God over there. What you could do with them, what to write, to make somebody fall in love with you, to make somebody hate you, to make somebody drop dead, to make you find treasure. These guys, books like this today, of course. There's plenty of them. They sell them in Safra. So 50 years ago, when not 50, 30 years ago, when my father first found out about this book, there was one store in Israel selling it. One store. To get the book, you had to go through an interview. An interview. You know, and you go to buy a book, he's like, what's your name? Social Security? No. He said, who are you? Who's your Rebbe? Who's your teacher? Are you a normal guy? I'm selling you this book. You understand? Today, every shlamil and every shlamazo, to go to Safra, this book, it's a bad thing that they did this. Why? By doing this, they overprinted it for everyone. Everybody could see this. And Chas Shalom, there was a guy, I heard a story when I was in Kollel. I'm not going to say the name of this book, even though you can find this in any bookstore today. It's by Rav Moshe Zachuta. This guy was a yeshiva guy, and he was in love with this woman. You understand? So he didn't know that it says in the Torah, Adam le'amal yulad. A man was created to work, to sweat. Not that you should open a book, do some Shemot HaKodesh, and suddenly, boom, everything is going to come to you. So he used to go to this bookstore and open up this book, Rav Moshe Zachuta, and see how to make a person love you, this, that. And I'm sure he used to say Shemot HaKodesh, this, that. Now you think he got what he had? What he wanted? No, he's still 50, 60 years old today. He's not married, single. He became a little cuckoo. These things have a backlash. There's no kind of thing in Kabbalah, especially in practical Kabbalah, that you're going to use it and you're going to come out alive. You're messing with fire. You understand? In the psychics, shmaikics, all the tum'ah over there, these things don't have such a big backlash in the beginning. But then eventually it eats away at the neshama. Person becomes crazy from these things when he gets deep into these dark stuff over there. You understand? Like Bil'am Harasha, he became so crazy, at the end he was with his donkey. You get worse than that, and this guy is the Navi, the prophet of the Ummot. Who knows what their other Nevi'im were like? Yoshka, Muhammad, who knows what the heck they did over there? There is stories over there. Uzbek, this, that. Where do they get all their minhagim from? Their minhagim bakodesh. They get it from their Nevi'im, from their Rebbes. You understand? Now, when a person has to understand that all these Shemot HaKodesh, they're meant for one thing, for people B'Kedusha. What do I mean by B'Kedusha? Could you promise to me that you could go 1 week without having a bad thought? No. You can't do that. Why? How? How you can't? Forget about 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour. You understand? The Gemara says, there's no getting a person goes... There's just getting a tzaddik without bad thoughts. Everybody has bad thoughts. You can't control the thoughts. But did you know these big tzaddikim? Not only didn't they have bad thoughts, it was for the Yetzer Hara to make them fall. He had to trick them. Even they said, remember Yaakov was with Leah. right? And then he had Reuben. But all that time he was thinking that he was with who? Rachel. So they say that's why Reuben came out and he switched the beds. Right? The Torah doesn't say he switched the bed. It says he did something much worse. You understand? But the Gemara says whoever says that he did that, choteh. He's doing an avera. He didn't do that. By the way, the Torah doesn't bribe anybody. The Torah is not here to go, hey, how are you? The Torah doesn't do it. When the Torah wants to say a person did an avera, the Torah doesn't save any words. The Torah goes at him like he knocks him out.
Why
you understand?
Use that kind of language?
Why does he use that kind of language? That's a good question, but that's not the point of what I'm saying right now. What I'm trying to say is that the Reuven, so they said, why did the Reuven go out and do such a thing? Why did he do such a thing? Because when Yaakov was with his wife, he thought it was Rachel, but it was really Leah. Ben Ishai says whoever thinks that's true about Yaakov Avinu is a fool. He's a dead fool. Why? What do you think these tzaddikim, when they're with their wives, they're thinking about pleasure? They're thinking about the woman inside their bedroom, right? You think they're thinking about, it's his wedding night. You might think that he is. Do you think that's what they're thinking of? They're thinking about yichudim. They're doing kavanot. The Ben Ishai says this in Torah Lishma. At that moment, he's putting together an neshamot. There's yichudim, by the way. There are shemot of Hashem to think about before you're with your wife. Tonight is the Hilula of the Magid Mezrich. The Magid of Mezrich, I'm going to tell you a crazy story right now. Don't take it so literally, though. I don't want to scare you guys. The Magid Mezrich, he was the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, by the way. Baal Shem Tov had many students. He handpicked these students. He handpicked them. For example, one of his favorite students was Rav Yaakov Yosef Mipolana. Rav Yaakov Yosef, very powerful name, Yaakov Yosef. Rav Yaakov Yosef Mipolana, he was a big tzaddik. The Baal Shem Tov basically took his neshama and he chose it for himself. Like he caused his neshama to come to him. Another one of these students was a rabbi called Rav Yechiel Michal of Zolchov. Yechiel Michal Mizolchov. Light a candle for him. They said in his base medrash, Rav Yechiel Michal Mizolchov, they used to find miracles like grass growing from the ground. That's how many miracles there were in his basement. Like he was known, like he was a miracle worker. Like he used to say, it would happen. How was he born, Rav Yechiel Michal Mizolchov? I heard this story this last week. I was freaking out when I heard the story. But once again, don't take it so literally. I was shaken to the core. Rav Yechiel Michal Mizolchov was a very big tzaddik. They said he never sinned in his life. In his life, he never sinned. But very interesting, he used to daven shacharit like 4 in the afternoon. Like, well, I mean, he did. Wait, what about mincha? He didn't sin. Like, he's daven shacharit after the zman. That's what he did. So that's where the famous Hasidic thing comes out. Chasidim are above the time. No, they're not above the time. Rav Yechiel Michal Mizolchov was above the time. So they said, Rebbe, why are you davening at 4 in the afternoon shacharit? Now, none of you guys daven shacharit 4 in the afternoon, you got a slap in the face. None of you guys daven at 4 in the afternoon. You guys are not allowed to daven. You shouldn't miss zman tefillah. Shouldn't miss zman tefillah. But he used to daven very late. He says, you know why I'm davening so late? There's a lot of people, their tefillot, when they daven, instead of thinking of Hashem when he's davening, you know what he's thinking of? His work. He's thinking about, oh, I'm going to miss the train now. He's going to think, oh, God, I have to wear my mask on the bus. He's davening. He's thinking about his wife. He's thinking about his kids. Those tefillot, they don't go up. They do the mitzvah. Don't think you didn't do the mitzvah. You did the mitzvah. But it's a goof below neshama. So Yechiel Michal Mizolchov said, well, I daven very late because I pick up everybody's tefillot. When I daven, I'm like that catalyst, that enzyme, you know, that breaks the rakia, and I pick everybody up. Now you can't daven at 4 in the afternoon because you're not going to do that. But Rav Yechiel Michal Mizolchov was able to do that. All right, he was a big. Now, who was his father? I mean, to bring a neshama like that to the world, you have to be his father. I don't remember his name, but they used to call him the Heilige Yid. Heilige Yid means the Yehudi HaKadosh. That's what he used to call him, the holy Jew. So you would think to bring a neshama like that, the father has to think a lot of neshama kedusha, right? They say Rav Yechiel Mizolchov, his father, when his wife used to give birth, he used to come into the room. She used to give birth. He used to come look at the baby. A week later, the kid would die. Yeah. She gets pregnant again.
So the huge.
She would give birth. He would walk inside. Again, the baby would die. By the third time he came in, his wife said, "I'm not getting pregnant. if you're gonna come inside the room, I don't want you to come inside the room. Until you swear to me, you're not gonna do like this, that. Keep your expressions to yourself. He said, I promise you I'm not gonna do anything. She gets pregnant, gives birth to a baby, he comes inside, he wants to so badly go, looks at it, he says, no, the other ones were greater than you. And that baby was Rav Shalom Gadaev. Imagine who was the kids that he went,
Why he did
he said, don't ask why he did that, why he did, what pants he was wearing that day, what did he eat for breakfast. That's what he did. Yeah, I love those questions. Why did he do that? He did that. And I said, why are you wearing blue today? You like blue.
Oh, it's by purpose? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't want the neshama. This neshama, he didn't want the neshama. You understand? But when he looked at his son, who's going to be Rav Shalom Gadaev, he said the first ones were better than you. That was Rav Shalom Gadaev, and Rav Shalom Gadaev wasn't worthy to be the successor of the Baal Shem Tov. And tonight is the Hilulah of the Rav that was the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Dov Ber, the Magid of Mizrach. Rav Dov Ber, the Magid of Mizrach, don't think he just grew up one day with peot and they would walk her into the yeshiva and they were flying on the thing. No, these people, these tzaddikim, he was a student, you know of who as a kid? The Pnei Yehoshua. You know what the Pnei Yehoshua is?
He didn't believe in the
He didn't believe in the Baal Shem Tov in the beginning. Then he said, who is this? I'm the student of the Pnei. You know what the Pnei Yehoshua is? The Pnei Yehoshua, he was a very big tzaddik. When he was younger, Pnei Yehoshua, when he was younger, when he got older, when he passed away, he wrote in his will, when I die, don't eulogize me. Now the Pnei Yehoshua, what do you mean don't eulogize? He's the Gedol Hador. The Gedol Hador. How do you mean don't eulogize me? When he passed away, the Noda Yehuda says, even though when a person passes away and he writes in his will, don't eulogize me, you have to listen to him. You have to listen to him. It's the kavod of the metim. The kavod of the metim. If he says, don't do it for me, you listen to him. There was a rabbi these days. His name was Rabbi Dr. Abraham Twersky. I don't know if you guys heard him. He was a great psychologist. He passed away. He just passed away a year ago, not even a year ago. This year he passed away. During the pandemic, he passed away. I'm allowed to say that during the pandemic?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe you guys are one of those. So when he passed away, he said to in his tzavah, I don't want you guys to eulogize me. When you bury me, just sing the song that I wrote. What song he wrote? הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך Urem, 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 venasem, urem, venasem. He wrote that song. It's his. You like that song, Slash Lishi? Imeish, you got it. His name was also Avram, by the way. So that's why you like it, probably. So he wrote that song, and that's when you see his Levaya. First of all, he's buried at night. And it's not good to bury at night, but they buried him right away. And while they're burying him, they're singing the song. They didn't know, they didn't eulogize it. They just put him in the ground with that song. Was when a tzaddik says, when even a regular guy says, don't eulogize me, you listen to him. It's his kavod. He doesn't want to be eulogized. Some big tzaddikim, when they used to pass away, they used to say, do for me arba mitot bedin. Do for me the 4 deaths.
How is it dead?
It's not about, he's not dead, first of all. He's dead, but he's not dead. He's there. He's there. The neshama is still on. That's why you're not allowed to learn Torah in front of him. You're not allowed to eat in front of the body. You can't say shalom aleichem in front of the body. All these things hurts the neshama. Right? Let's say a person, he's a smoker. But he's not a regular, he's a heavy smoker. You know, he's always hitting up that Miley. He's always vaping, you know. When he dies, he goes crazy. Why? He wants to vape. He sees the guy vaping. He can't do it. And it kills the neshama. That's Gehenom Barei Adamot. Or the person, he never worked on his tavat achila all of his life. Eat. No, it hurts the neshama. Your body doesn't feel anything. It's all the neshama. We believe in the neshama and its height. It's not about the body. It's about the neshama. The neshama sees the body eating. What do you do? What does he do? The other person eating. He goes crazy. He wants to eat too. But you don't need to eat. He wants to eat. That's why a person is not allowed to eat in front of. Now the worst thing is when you learn Torah in front of the body. Why? The dead body. He wants to, because he knows now. He sees it was all real. There is a neshama. He wants to. No, that's it. You can't learn. But Meitim Chofshi, he's free now.
How about the Hypergadisha guys? They always say Tehillim.
Those Tehillim is tefillot for him. Those are not limud Torah. That's le'elu nishmato. That he wants. That he wants. The Pnei Yehoshua said, when I die, I don't want to be no eulogy, no nothing. The Noda Yehuda says, even though you have to listen to him halachically, since he's the Gadol Ador, would be a chilul Hashem, not to eulogize him, and he publicly eulogized the Pnei Yehoshua. Only one person in a generation gets this kind of kavod. The Magid Memezrich, as a kid, as a young kid, 14, 15 years old, learned in his yeshiva. When he was 16, he said, I have nothing to do here anymore. He was such a high level in Nigle. Now, he was so big in Nigle, don't think he didn't learn the Arya Kadosh. By the time he heard of the Baal Shem Tov, he knew all Shmona Sha'arim by heart. He knew all the 8 Sha'arim of the Etz Chaim by heart. You know the Magid is Dov Bear. You know what Rav Dov Bear means? It's the Dov. It's the bear. It's come on, guys. He was a Chazak. He was Esh. He was Esh. And he heard of the Baal Shem Tov. He heard about it. Now Rabbi Yisrael, that's he fell into ice. He came out. We're not talking about that right now. Do you give you a whole biography of him right now? He was a very big tzaddik, but the problem is, there is 10 sfirot, right guys? Let's start from the bottom. Malchut. What's Malchut? That's your wife. When you're not married, you're not considered a complete person because you're missing the Malchut. Very simple. Now, above the Malchut is what? Yesod. The Brit. You want the Malchut. What's next to the Malchut? Yesod. Fix the Yesod. You're going to get the Malchut. Simple. It says that Yaakov was fighting with the angel and Avak came up. You know what Avak is? Dust. It says their dust reached the Kisei HaKavod. So Rabbi David Abu Hatzir, Baba Sali's brother, who's your side, was like 2 days ago. He says, what does it mean the dust went up? Dust is really an acronym for Ot Brit Kodesh. Avak, Ot Brit Kodesh. The Avak, the Ot Brit Kodesh went up because Yaakov never sinned in his Brit. That's how he was able to defeat an angel. You want to defeat angels? You gotta figure. Shovavim is coming up, guys. Shovavim. Too late.
Already. You can't defeat an angel.
Over there. It's on the corner. It's on the corner, right? From the front. So Yaakov Avinu was so strong he was able because of the old brigade. What's above the Yesod? Netzach and Hod. Netzach and Hod are 2 brothers. That's your two legs. That's your Netzach and Yod, the 2 brothers. You want to fix your breed, you need the Netzach and the Hod. You need the brothers. Brothers mean Ahavat Chinam. If you have no Ahavat Chinam, you have no love for a fellow Jew, you cannot have a breed. If you can't have a breed, you can't have a wife. Good? What's above Netzach and Hod? Tiferet. What's Tiferet? Torah. If you don't have Limud Torah, then why would you love your fellow Jew? He's a monkey and you're a monkey. Monkeys don't love each other. Right? Only the Torah, which gives you the reason for V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, which is the Tiferet, in the front. In the front, all the way at the corner. Only because the Torah, which is the Tiferet, that's why the Tiferet, that's where your heart is, your lungs is, your liver, your spine, your PNS, right? That's the nerve, the very important part of the nervous system. Right? All the stuff is in the Tiferet, because everything depends on the Torah. Right. Now above the Torah, Tiferet is Chesed and Gevurah. What's Chesed and Gevurah? Love and fear. You can't learn Torah if you don't love God and you don't fear God. You're missing love and fear, you can't learn Torah. You can't learn Torah, you can't have Avat Chinam. You don't have Avat Chinam, you don't have a Yesod. You don't have a Yesod, you don't have your wife. Wait, did you understand what I just said? If you don't have Ahava and Yirah, love and fear of Hashem, you don't have Torah. You don't have Torah, you don't have Ahavat Chinam. You don't have Avat Chinam, you don't have Brit. You don't have Brit, you don't have a wife. Next. What's above Chesed and Gevurah? Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. What's Chokhmah and Bina? Bina is Simcha. It's the enjoyment you get when you do mitzvot. It's the farbrengen. It's the yayin. It's the wine. It's the Shabbat. Shabbat is Olam HaBina. It's the oneg. But if you don't use the oneg correctly, it turns into nega. What's the number one thing that's over-abused in this world? What bina? Bina. Bina is pleasure. Pleasure is the number one abused thing in this world. Why? Everybody wants pleasure. But they don't understand that they're missing the chokhmah. What's the chokhmah? Chokhmah is simcha, happiness. We in our lives, instead of looking for the simcha, what are we looking for instead? The pleasure. We're looking for the oneg. Oneg is binah. We always want esh. We want inspiration. Inspire me. But you don't understand that inspiration needs the chokhmah too. It needs the happiness. And happiness only comes with chokhmah. What's chokhmah? Pirkei Avot. This is all Hasidic teachings I'm teaching you right now. Chokhmah is written in Pirkei Avot. Shimon, the son of Rabban Gamliel, says, all my life I lived by the Chachamim. What sfira? What sfira is that? Chokhmah. Velo matzati laguf tov. What helped me but shtika, silence. So how do you know a person has chokhmah? If he doesn't show it. If a person is always talking yapping, he doesn't have chokhmah. What's the midah of chokhmah? Shtika, the silence. When he knows how to shut up, when he knows not to ask the question, when he knows not to prove that he's correct, that's the chokhmah. Now, chokhmah can only be in power if you have the highest sfira. What is that? Keter. Now, here's the kunz. Here's the secret. Your keter is really the malchut of the world above you. That means, where do you get your keter from? Your parents. They're your keter. And their keter is that. Now, to respect your parents, you need something higher than shtika. You need the hardest midah. Only big tzaddikim ever reach this in this life. None of us have probably reached it. Sometimes we reach it sometimes. But then we come back down. To have true kibud avayim, you need the midah of bitul. Nullification.
That's hard.
That's the hardest midah. Nullification means I'm nothing. I'm zero. I'm zilch. I'm just an acceptor. Like Eliezer, Eved, Abraham. Like Yosef Hatzadik. Yosef knew that his brothers are going to kill him. He knew. But when his father said, Yosef, where is your brothers? Hineni. Why does the Torah say Hineni? Why did I say Hineni? And then he went to the field. He went to Dotan. He could have went back home. They weren't there. He's walking around the field. And he said, Mata mevakesh. He said, Et achai anochi mevakesh. Leman achai. Leman achai. If a person looks for his brothers, that's how you know he reached the level of bitul. And when he found them, right away they let the dogs. They had German shepherds. Oh, I don't know what kind of dogs they had. Huskies? No, worse than what's stronger than the huskies? Mastiffs? Pit bulls. They go. They let the dogs. Who let the dogs? Who let the dogs out? Who let them out? Shimon and Levi. Shimon and Levi. Who are Shimon and Levi? The two brothers. And a brother said to his other brother, who is that? Rashi says, always Shimon and Levi. Brother against brother. And Yosef was strong. In Parashat Vayigash, Havogash, in Parashat Vayigash it says when Yosef met Yehuda, he took a marble pillar, and Ma'am says this, and he crushed it with his hands. Yehuda got like, whoa, where is this power coming from? Where did he get it? It has to be from our family, this guy. And he crushed it because he was white. Don't forget, Yosef was white. So Yehuda's like, I'm white, he's white. This is he can't be an Egyptian. Yeah, he can't be. Don't say it to BLM. It's white. They're not gonna like that. And he crushed it. Yosef could have ripped those dogs, but he couldn't. Why? He had bitul to his father. He had to get there. His father said, "Bring me back to his brothers." And what did they do to him? They put him inside the pit. But the pit was empty. The pit was empty of water, but it was full of snakes and scorpions. And did the snakes and scorpions touch him? No, because he had Shmirat HaBrit. He had a full brit. And then they took him out, and who did they sell him to? Yishmaelim. But Yishmaelim usually sell what? Oil. Neft. But this time they were selling spices. Because that's Hashem makes to the tzaddik everything that's good for him. Yeah, he has to go through suffering, but at least on the way he's going to go with a coach bus. He's going to go with a limousine. Right away, and he goes to Mitzrayim. Who buys him? Not some kind of shlopinka, some shlomil. The Sarat Habachim, the minister of ministers, Potiphar buys him. He goes to the palace right away. Everything over there, beautiful, tayor. Oh, no hard job. Be my accountant. Yosef was the first Jewish accountant. He was the CPA. Yosef HaTzadik. And all this is from Bitul, guys. He was mivatel to his father. And he went. He had the keter. And Potiphar's wife comes to him. And she tells him, Yosef, you know what kind of ta'avad that is? He's 17 years old. 17. The hormones are burning inside. He's a handsome young man. By the way, Yosef is gematria 156. A beard is gematria 157. That means a man's beauty is his beard. Not the other way around like the Russians taught us. Take off the beard, look like a woman. The opposite. The zakan, hadrat panim, zaken. You understand? Exactly. The Ben Ish Hai. The Baba Sali used to cry for the Ben. This is the beauty of the man, the zakan, the Yosef. And she comes to him, she says, be with me. But he had the Ot Brit Kodesh. He had how? What did he see? His father, Keter. When the Keter shined on him again, he was able to defeat Potiphar's wife. And he became the savior not only of the world, of all Mitzrayim, he became so rich. Why? If you have the Yesod, you have the Kesef. But only if you use the Kesef. For what? For other people. You see, in Judaism, we don't believe in communism or in socialism. You know why? Because it's in our blood to give charity. It's in our blood to be charitable. We don't need to be communists. We don't need to be, Trotsky, Leon Trotsky, he was a Jew. You guys know his story, Leon Trotsky? He was a Jewish boy. There was once a Chafetz Chaim, the Chafetz Chaim HaKadosh. He was once in yeshiva sitting, like all you guys are sitting over here. Of course, he has the yeshiva, was a yeshiva. Not that you guys are not. You guys are Kedoshim V'Tehorim. And this Rosh Yeshiva comes in. He was, by the way, Radin was the Soviet Union back then, Russian. Rabbi Chafetz Chaim knew Russian. He comes inside. Rosh Yeshiva comes in. Chafetz Chaim turns his seat like this. Like, Yochsho, I don't want to see your face. Tzaddik walks in with a zakan, with the Bekecher and all the 9 yards. Comes inside, turns around. Comes this way, turns around. That Chafetz Chaim was like 5'4". Small man, short beard. Used to wear the Russian casket like this. Small man. If you see his real, there's a video of him. Very tiny guy, if I could even call him that. When he left, they saw that he's not paying attention to him. He left. He said, Rabbi, why didn't you give him attention? Rebbe. Why didn't they give him attention? This Rosh Yeshiva is a murderer. Why? He said there was a woman, she was poor, widow. She was a widow. Husband died. She was left with one boy. This boy, his name was Leo. She put him in a yeshiva, but he was, how you say, shovavnik, chuliganos, banzit, and any other words? He was doing all the balagan. And he got kicked out of yeshiva. His mom took him, she had no choice. She put him in public school, from Lenin. This boy grew up to be Leon Trotsky. This head that was going to be Leon Trotsky could have been, not a Gedolador. Could have, if he became Leon Trotsky, imagine who, father of communism, imagine who he could have been. You know who was the Rosh Yeshiva who kicked him out? That rabbi who just walked in. I'm going to tell him hello? He said. This is a murderer. That's why I didn't tell him hello. Who was Leon Trotsky? He knew it. He was in his time. What happened at the end to Leon Trotsky? He got into a fight with Stalin, ran to Mexico. Over there, Stalin sent KGB, killed him. He could have been with that head. He gave Stalin a run for his money. This Rasha. They were both Rashaim. But at least he was a Jew. Maybe he has some Olam Haba. Who knows? He died like a dog by the hands of the Goyim. But when a person has Keter, he also has a different Midah. That Midah is called patience. Savlanut. Or Baslanut, as my son used to say. Savlanut. If a person has Savlanut, he doesn't have Kaas. If a person doesn't have Kaas, then he has the highest level, which is Mikveh Ha'elyon. Mikveh Gematria Kaas. You know what the Mikveh Ha'elyon is? The Mikveh, when you dip in a Mikveh, it's like the embassy of heaven on earth. When a person overcomes his Kaas, how do you overcome your Kaas? When a person gets you angry, it's not that guy getting you angry. It's not your wife getting you angry. It's not your children getting you angry. That's Hashem. And you can only have that if you have Keter. What's Keter? Bitul. To nullify yourself. Now what happened when the Magid Memezrich of Dov Ber, when he went to the Baal Shem Tov the first time, he said to him, I know Kabbalah, I know Ariya Kadosh. Baal Shem Tov says, you don't know anything, get out. He says, you might say the words, you could know a lot of things. What, you think if I open up a Sidur HaRashash right now, I open up a Gemara, it's like Rav Ashi and Ravina are learning Gemara? You think my words are their words? What's the difference, guys? I'm learning the same page as them. I'm opening up Sidur HaRashash, I'm doing the same Kavanot as the Rashash. What, my Tfilah is the Rashash's Tfilah? When the Rashash used to do his Kavanot, he used to see the Kavanot. When Ravina and Rav Ashi were learning the Gemara, they weren't just learning Gemara, they were Bonei Olamot. When we're learning Gemara, it's missing the Chokhmah, Bina, and Dat. Yeah, we enjoy it, but we don't live it. That's why all those socialist, communist movements, you know why the youth left that stuff? Because they're missing essence in life. They don't have simcha, they don't have shtika, and they don't have bitul. That's what our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, taught us. I want to read you a Gemara and I'm going to let you guys go. A beautiful Gemara. And I close the Gemara. Page 88 in Masechet Chulin. I want to read you something amazing. It's 2 sentences. Look what the Gemara says. Page 88. Amar Rava. Rava says, Bischar, in the merit, in the reward, that Avraham Avinu, when he was fighting Sedom, he told God, Anochi, I am Afar Va'efer. What did he say? 3 words. Anochi, Afar Va'efer. I am dust and ash. Because of that, Zachu Banav Lishtei Mitzvot. Because of saying those 2 words, he materialized 2 mitzvot. What are they? The ashes of the sotah and the dirt of the red cow. The ashes of the red cow. If Avraham Avinu wouldn't have said Anochi Afar Va'efer, what did he say? He would have said something else. Because he said those words, his children, his descendants, were zocher to 2 mitzvot mideoraita. In the merit, Bischai, Avraham Avinu told the king of Sedom, I'm not going to take from you a shoelace or a string. His kids had the merit of getting the mitzvot of tzitzit and tefillin. Guys, you hear what the Gemara is saying over here? It's not just Abraham Avinu. It's you. You also have descendants. You're also Abraham Avinu. You're also Yitzchak Avinu. In the merit that you open up a Gemara and you come to Shiur at night and you say, Anochi Afar Va'efer, and you learn the Torah, your descendants are going to get tefillin and tzitzit. What right do we have that our descendants should learn Torah? What right? It's the Ein Sof. They're learning God. What right? Because you're their father. You're their keter. You say Anochi Afar Va'efer. You make bitul yourself to the Rav. You learn the Torah. You say, I don't want to enjoy from this world from a string to a shoelace. Because you say that, your kids put on tefillin. Their merit is because of you. You're their keter. The kids, the Gemara can never reach the parents' level until they're 40 years old. Only once they become 40 years old, then they're going to start understanding what my father did to me 40 years ago. It takes 40 years for them to understand, says the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, what my parents did to me 40 years ago. Why 40 years? How many years we were in the desert? 40 years. When did Moshe start to rebuke the Jews?
At the 40th,
At the 40th year, says the Gemara. That means Moshe said if I do it in the 39th year, they're not going to get to me. They need to be 40 years. Look what the Gemara says. Open up your minds. Today is Rosh Hashana of Chassidut. This is all Chassidut. This is the Torah the Baal Shem Tov revealed to us. We could talk a lot about the Baal Shem Tov. I want to read you one words before I'm going to read you one part of Shara Gilgulim. I don't want you guys to miss it. What's the difference between the tzaddik and the rasha? It's Shara Gilgulim of the Ari HaKadosh. The Ari says, what's the difference between the tzaddik and a rasha? Even if a person is a rasha, says the Ari, like Elisha Acher, that did idol worshipping, aval asak b'Torah, but he learned Torah, yinatzel midina shel Gehenom. He cannot go to Gehenom. You could be a rasha merusha like Elisha ben Avuya, that he was called Acher, like Elokim Acherim. But you know what? When he opened the Torah, he was Anochi Afar Va'efer. He cannot go to Gehenom. Gehenom cannot touch him. He's fireproof. This kind of tzaddikim, this kind of people, Kadmoni says Dari, they can only be fixed through a Gilgul. Now we're in the last years of the year 6000. There's 218 years left. We're the last Gilgulim. Who do you think we are? We're all those people who learn Torah. You're sitting here and learning Torah. Who's learning Torah? Those rich millionaires from the city who own buildings, they're learning Torah? You're here learning Torah. You're the neshama of some Tana back in the day. You're that neshama. You came back over here, you know what? Only bischut of limud Torah. You could fix it more. You could learn more. You could do more. You could do more mitzvot. Says the Magid Memezrich in this book, Ora Torah. I got this book as a present from a friend of mine. Thank you for all your help. I got this book, I think 6 years ago. The Magid Memezrich. And then right after that, it was Divine Providence. I went to his kibbutz. He says over here, what's the difference between the klipa, says the Magid, and the Kiddusha? Look what he says. Ha-klipa en la isha. In the klipa, there is no female and male. It's LGBTQ. It's all one gender. That's what he says. In the klipa, all those people that are like that over there, those are all klipa. They're all klipot. En la improve. They don't have any be fruitful and multiply. Aval kedusha, but the kedusha, yesh lo zachar v'nikeva. It's a male and a female. How does that a male? And says that Magid Memezrich. The kedusha, the holiness, the holy worlds, the malachim, they give you power to do mitzvot. Why? Because when you do mitzvot, you're giving them power too. Tnu oz le'Elohim. Give power to Elokim. How? Al Yisrael gavato. When Yisrael does mitzvot, what's the gavato? B'shchakim. When they do mitzvot that reach the shchakim. That means the kedusha. Who sent you over here to a shiur? I'm sure all of us here
My wife.
had issues. She's definitely kedusha.
But
go ahead. I'm definitely person who's tired. It's cold. No parking. This, that. What made you come? The kedusha. They pushed you to come here because as you're learning right now, you're giving them kedusha. You're giving them power.
Amen.
So we said a lot. We did a lot. We learned Gemara. We learned the Ari. We learned the Magid. We learned stories. We learned Michal Mezolshov. We did a lot of kedusha today, Baruch Hashem. I want to give you guys all a bracha together. All of us over here at Mishtatfim. It's a very special night at the end of Kislev. May all your misha'alot libchem yitgashmu letovah. May all of the people who need zivugim, may they get married. Amen. And stay married. Amen. May all the people who need parnasat tovah, they should have shefarav. May they have money and they should be bracha in their money. Amen. All the people that need refuah shlema, may they have refuah shlema. May the schut of the Magid Memezrich, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, his Rabbi Adam, Rabbi Adam Baal Shem, and his Rebbe all the way to Achia Shiloni, who was the Rebbe of Eliyahu Hanavi, who got Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu, all the way to Pia Givura, Bi Megen Aleinu, V'al Zar'einu, V'al Zera Zar'einu. Amen. Amen.